I will be going over the article here, and then I will include a video report at the end of the article. So if you want to watch the video report, stay to the end and watch that, or skip to it. You can find it, I'm sure. This is Michael Carson back with another video. Well, ICE arrested a Palestinian leader of Colombia's anti-Israel protests, revoking student visa and green card, says his lawyer. That's the title. There's a video, which I'll play later. Trump is giving his President Trump is giving this anti-Israeli campus rebel-rouser a ticket to study abroad for good. A Palestinian activist who led a coalition of twisted radicals seeking the total eradication of Western civilization, responsible for riotous protests at Columbia University and Barnard College, has been arrested by ICE agents, according to his lawyer. Columbia University Apartheid Divest leader Mahmoud Khalil, who completed his graduate studies at Ivy League Columbia in December, also potentially faces having his visa revoked and his green card canceled following Trump's crackdown on unrest at colleges, attorney Amy Greer said Sunday. He was inside his university-owned apartment a few blocks from campus Saturday night when ICE agents entered the residence and took him into custody, Greer said. Despite graduating months ago, Khalid also earned his graduate degree. Despite graduating months ago, Khalid earned his undergraduate degree in Beirut. Still lived in school-provided housing due to policy allowing students to remain on campus after graduating, a source told the Post. Well, I don't know how many of those are actually. Those look like Americans virtual signaling there. He has remained active in recent disruptive protests, including last week's takeover of the Milstein Library at Barnard College. Videos and photographs posted on X depict him holding a bullhorn near the library entrance and engaged in discussion with school administrators. That protest featured violent propaganda flyers that purportedly came directly from the Hamas media office, including one pamphlet titled "Our Narrative, Our Operation," Flood, which justified the October 7, 2023 attack on Israel that killed 1,200 people, in which women were repeatedly raped and whole families were executed. 151 hostages were taken to the Gaza Strip. Others at the Barnard Library takeover passed around trading cards like photos of notorious Hezbollah leader Hassan Nasrallah, who was killed by Israeli airstrike in Lebanon last September. Ari Sharad, head of Columbia's Jewish Alumni Association, told the Post he was dismayed and concerned to see literature that is being distributed. What do you expect? All the IST sympathizers, they don't want peace. They never want peace. They think war is fun. These protesters were handing out material from terrorist organizations Hamas and Hezbollah. Every American citizen should be concerned when students are engaging in terrorist activity on U.S. soil, regardless of their nationality. In recent weeks, Barnard College was the site of campus building takeovers of 2 consecutive weeks to protest the expulsion of a pair of students who barged into Columbia class on modern Israel in January and tossed around pro-Hamas flyers. One of the documents depicted an Israeli flag in flames. The other showed an army boot stomping on a Star of David. In response to the administration kicking the perpetrators off the campus, dozens of masked protesters stormed Barnard Historic Milbank Hall, the oldest building on campus, on February 26th, egged on by pro-Intifada group Columbia Students for Justice in Palestine. Those people should be arrested. A student security guard A school security guard was assaulted as the violent mob forced its way inside, where protesters graffitied messages like "Free Palestine" and Barnard expels students. Okay. A week later, on March 5th, around 200 demonstrators seized the academic nerve center of the elite private women's college, Milstein Library, where they hung an Old West-styled wanted poster featuring Dean of Students, Leslie Greenidge, and a short effigy of Barnard President Laura Rosenberry. That's a threat. The NYPD evacuated the building after a bogus bomb threat and arrested 9 students from nearby schools, and many of them privileged youth who refused lawful orders to disperse. As agents raided Khalid's apartment, Colombia put out a statement addressing the presence of agents in the vicinity of campus and stated that the intention was not to cooperate with ICE actions except where required by law. Consistent with the long-standing practices of cities and institutions throughout the country, law enforcement must have a judicial warrant to enter non-public university areas, including university buildings. Colombia is committed to complying with all legal obligations and supporting our student body and campus community. I think Colombia should be sued for their junk there. Soon after his detention, Khalid's supporters issued a press release calling the arrest a racist targeting, which serves to instill fear and pro-Palestine activists as well as a warning to others. A petition demanding Khalid's immediate release posted on Action Network generated more than 349,000 signatures by Sunday evening. What the hell, man? I really don't like leftists. We should just send them all to Canada. I think Britain and the United States should make a deal. All leftists should be, deported to Canada, and we build a wall around Canada. All the way around, except for the native population way up north where the people don't go. Just keep in the radical leftists. Last September, Khalid and the Colombia United Apartheid Divest, which has vowed to escalate tactics until the empire crumbles, were among those taking part in campus takeover at the start of the school year. And that's a picture there. I'm not going to read the caption on that. You can read it if you want. Coalition of 116 student groups at the Ivy League school who call themselves Westerners fighting for the total eradication of Western civilization. Okay, let me read that again without laughing. Coalition of 116 student groups at the Ivy League school who call themselves Westerners fighting for the total eradication of Western civilizations. I think they earned themselves a one-way ticket to Gitmo. Also led the charge in the violent raid of Colombia's Hamilton Hall last April. Local state leaders, including Governor Kelly Hochul, condemned the protest, calling on school officials to enforce disciplinary codes and impose swift action to punish wrongdoers, a source told the Post at the time. Khalid told a Post reporter during September's raucous protests that anti-Israel students were undeterred and promised to ramp up their actions, including establishing future encampments. As long as Colombia continues to invest and benefit from Israeli apartheid, the students will continue to resist, Khalid said. Not only protests and encampments, the limit is the sky. Last April, during the height of the encampment protest, Khalid told Colombia Daily Spectator that he was not personally participating in protests over concerns he would lose his student visa, which allowed him to remain in the U.S. Well, that's totally wrong. He was briefly suspended that month, but the suspension was reversed the very next day, he told BBC at the time. Oh, gee, BBC, so lovely. They said that after reviewing the evidence, they don't have any evidence to suspend, he said. What? Kaimin James, 20, a prominent spokesperson for the Mosh-cheering radical collective led by Khalid, was banned from campus in the wake of April's protests after a video surfaced of them expressing violent and hateful rhetoric towards towards Jewish population. See, if you say that word, sometimes things don't like that. There's usually filters for that. So I had to change that. The same way we are comfortable accepting Nazis don't deserve, fascists don't deserve to live, racists don't deserve to live, Zionists, they shouldn't in this world. I'm not going to even read that line because they want to blame Jewish people for everything. The same way we are very uncomfortable. Okay, I'm not going to reread that. James later offered a tepid apology, but laid the blame at the foot of the right-wing agitators, claiming that they were being targeted for being visibly queer and black. What? Last spring's camp included to expand April 18th when Colombia President Shafik, who soon after resigned under pressure, called on the NYPD to enter the campus and break it up after protesters ignored warnings to leave. Cops arrested 108 participants at Colombia, which sparked a movement of solidarity protests of similar encampments at university campuses across the country. Now, I don't remember that part. An ICE agent reportedly told Khalid's lawyer that the agency was enforcing a State Department edict to revoke Khalid's student visa as well as his green card pursuant to President Trump's pledge to deport foreign student agitators responsible for fomenting campus unrest. Yeah, it's the same reason why Munich happened back in the 70s. You know, they got onto the Olympic Village and did what they were doing. The news comes just days after Trump announced plans to yank about $400 million in federal grants and contracts from Colombia due to non-compliance with anti-discrimination laws.
Fox News alert. ICE arrested Mahmoud Khalil, a Columbia University protester who led activities aligned to Hamas. Alexis McAdams has the details. Alexis.
Yeah, so we were out on campus. We've been seeing this guy pop up for months, but he's no longer walking around or marching around at Columbia University's campus yelling Free Palestine tonight because the feds took away his blowhorn, his green card, and his student visa. He's now in federal custody in Louisiana. As ICE tells us, he was leading activities that were aligned with Hamas.
When you come here to study, you got to obey the laws of this country. You got to obey the requirements of that visa to be lawful while you're here.
President Trump says he violated those rules, posting this on Truth Social, saying it's just the first of many arrests to come. He wrote this in part: "We know there are more students at Columbia and other universities across the country who have engaged in pro-terrorist, anti-Semitic, anti-American activity, and the Trump administration will not tolerate it." Tonight, hundreds marching here in New York City. Check this out, demanding his release. You can see there was a throwdown. At least 2 people were arrested, and the NYPD had to step in yet again. Khalil was arrested just days after he was spotted at a protest inside of a library. You can see him there on your screen at Barnard College. He was considered a trespasser because, hey, he's not even a student there. He graduated in December, but he was somehow trying to negotiate with the school president on speakerphone. That was the same protest where these pamphlets were handed out claiming to be from the Hamas media office. This is very terrifying to students there, calling the October 7th attack by Hamas a moral victory. These photos of terror leaders, too, handed out to students and stuck on windows near campus. I mean, these Jewish parents and students are paying $100,000 a pop. Students say Khalil had led dozens of pro-Palestinian protests, demanding that the Ivy League school divest from Israel. Here he was speaking about his right to protest in April. Watch.
What we know that all students on U.S. colleges in the U.S. they have the right of freedom of expression.
So the Trump administration says they're just getting started, but we saw a lot of Democrats too that were kind of sticking up for Khalil, saying that he, should be set free.
Well, he should do it. If you enjoyed this video, please consider watching another one. It would really help me out. And as always, have a good day.